Today, I'm going to unbox and take a quick look at Storm Over Jerusalem, the Roman Siege. This is a game designed by Scott Blanton and published by Multi-Man Publishing. Now, I've been waiting for this game for some time in that I might have mentioned before in some of my other videos, I've got this master list of battles and wars and engagement that I've been collecting and compiling for years now, and trying to match or keep track of or have an entry for every major conflict, and trying to see if I had a representative game for it. And the Siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD by the Romans is something I really didn't have a good game for. Now, there was the old Avalon Hill game that was sparked my interest, but I never picked it up, and it was kind of hard to pick it up on the market. Now, I think that they are republishing or redoing that one, and so maybe prices on the old Avalon Hill will go down. But I don't need that because I have this now. This is Storm Over Jerusalem. This is an area impulse game, and it's an area impulse game that uses cards as kind of the primary mechanism or driver. It's very similar in that regard to Storm Over Dien, again by Multi-Man Publishing, and this is about the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, which is the Vietnamese versus the French, and is the precursor to the Vietnam War. And there are a lot of other area impulse games that don't necessarily use cards. When the system was first designed, I don't think it had cards at all in mind. And Multi-Man Publishing publishes some of those as well. This is Breakthrough Cambrai, which is the first major tank battle in World War I, and this is an area impulse game as well. Now, there's a lot of other area impulse games, and I think it's Revolution Games does a lot of those, and there are other publishers. I know there's a few in Against the Odds magazine. So area impulse is quite its own system that's out there. And it's an interesting system, and we'll take a little bit of a look at that when we get into this box here. So, as you can see on the back here, it has low complexity and low solitaire, so that's interesting. I know there's cards at use, and a lot of times when there are cards, there's hidden information, so that's why it gets, the games usually get a low solitaire capability. Or suitability. Now, I play a lot of my games solitaire or play them two-handed, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out here. I might try to find an opponent somewhere, but usually I try to take it on myself. Now, as you can see here, there's the cards, example of the cards. Here is the map board. Here are some of the counters. Graphically, looks very appealing. I like the look of it. You'll see some of these area numbers here, and that's typical of an area impulse game. They'll have each of the areas numbered. And the areas might have a defense value or a modifier that goes along with it. And when you're moving, you're generally moving out of an area into another area. But we'll explore some of that maybe when we get into the rule book. This is basically just a unboxing and quick overview. I'll probably do some follow-up play on this at some point. As you see from the back of the box here, let's get a little bit closer without the glare. It says, by the year 70 of the Common Era, the province of Judea had been in revolt against Rome for 4 years. The protests and riots that began in 66 CE had quickly turned into open rebellion. So this is, coming down to kind of a climax where Rome is going to, push the envelope and basically, take the siege of Jerusalem, very seriously and kind of break it through here. And that's what you are doing here, is you're replicating that siege. It says right here, Storm Over Jerusalem is card-assisted area movement game based on Multi-Man Publishing Storm Over series of games, including Storm Over Stalingrad, Storm Over Dien Bien Phu, and Storm Over Normandy. Cards augment the gameplay and increase the tension and choices faced by each player. So with that, let's get inside the box here. As I said, I've been looking at trying to find something that covered the siege of Jerusalem, the 70 siege of Jerusalem. Jerusalem has been sieged several times over its history. Again, I was not finding a readily available copy of the old Avalon Hill. Plus, some of the older Avalon Hill games, just the graphics, are not as appealing. The old there was a Caesar's Legions and Alexander, and I don't know, just the kind of the pinkish or faded red, and I don't know, for some reason the graphics didn't jump out at me. And this looks much better, including a crumpled up paper here. This is with Multi-Man Publishing. You usually get a packing list, and this tells you what you get with the packing list there. Here is your deck of cards, which I think they're just in a regular cellophane or whatever wrapper, but they're in this little see-through window box here. You get some dice here, 4 to be exact. They roll fine. They pass the quality control check. You get the rules here. Let's take a look at that. See what we have. Yeah, see if I can get a place where I can lay this out a little bit. Look at the rules here. It's color. 12 pages, so not that much there. And it's got examples. It's got color examples, images. So we've got, it's going to be dual column, it looks like, but with some very large examples throughout. You have introduction, components, counters, units, markers. Here's an example of the units here. It's glossy paper, so apologize for the glare. You have your firepower, defense, strength, and movement. And then when you're spent, you just have a defense strength. You've got a setup area. That's those areas that are listed on the board throughout. So you've got Judean and Roman, both leaders and units there. You've got some markers here. Here's a map key. You can see right here, we've got area location, VP locations. There's the temple. Wall section, area number, defensive value. As I said, a lot of the areas might have a defensive value that will affect combat. Area control, no siege engines. Okay, so cool. Then you've got your cards here, talking about the card number, the card title. Get this siege engine card, siege tower value, response cards, wall repair value, card event text. So you're going to have, using the cards for various things that look like for sieging, for wall repair, for events. Again, since this is a siege game, the whole siege engine and the repairing the walls is going to be a thing. Whenever I look at, stuff like, that, or, you see siege ramparts here, I think back to that old made-for-TV movie Masada with Peter O'Toole. Game map areas, tracks, tactical cards. Font's kind of small. It's glossy paper and small font, though that's not a good combination, but it is dual column, and there is some space in here, so it's not just densely packed rules, and there's only 12 pages. Dice, setup, sequence of play, tactical cards, replenishing discards, impulse phase. And I wonder how I wonder if the cards actually affect the impulse phase. It's been a while since I played Dien Bien Phu or Storm Over Dien Bien Phu, and normally you have like impulse is usually not a set amount. It kind of goes back and forth, but they're usually a point where the impulses will hit a trigger and the turn is over. I wonder how if they do that with the cards here. It's been a while since I played that. Here's movement. Turn too many pages. This is all about movement. Here's all about attack. You've got an example of attack and then applying damage points. You You can see right there. You've got applying damage points. You've got an assault, which is a little bit different there. Just assaulting my dice. Then you have reinforcements, control of area. So there's a marker in some of those areas that you control the area. That will probably factor in for some victory conditions. Then you have wall strength. So you're breaching the walls, and you have these counters or markers for the walls and repairing the walls. That's going to be a constant, I think, battle of sieging and tearing down and repairing. Romans trying to tear down and the Judeans trying to repair. Here's building siege towers. So again, this is a siege game, so there's the whole thing about movement and attack, but there's quite a bit of emphasis on the whole siege works. Here's Judean supply restrictions. Here's Judean leaders. Here's your victory conditions right here. Let's take a look at those real quick. If the Roman player controls both Area 22, which is the Temple Mound, and Area 27, Herod's Palace, the game ends immediately with an automatic victory. So that's the key for the Romans. Interesting. You got some optional rules here. And then you got the credits. And then here's a example of play, extended assault example. That's nice, especially if there's, looks like salt might be one of the more complicated features, so having an extended example is good. Here is a retreat example, and then here's a wall repair example. So you got some key examples there. So rules look fine in that regard. My dice over here. Let's dump the box out a little bit and see. Ooh, we got a lot of stuff in here. Does not want to come out. There we go. So we have a Storm Over Jerusalem player aid here. Got a little piece of paper there just to protect the bottom of it, I guess, which has your sequence of play. And it also has the rules reference. I always like that, so you can always look back and go, okay, where's that at? So here's sequence of play. Here's the impulse actions. Here's victory point conditions, Roman siege towers, repairing walls, Judean supply restrictions, easy for you to say, Judean areas unable to refresh. Okay, cool. And that's on thicker stock. It's dual-sided. You've got an attack sequence, assault sequence, applying damage points, breaching walls, and Judean leader placement. So nice little reference there. We have some counters here. Here's a counter sheet. So this is counter sheet 2. So you've got some leaders here, some units, some markers, some control, and then a lot of wall markers here. And these are dual-sided. Should be another counter sheet in here. Let's pull that out. Here's counter sheet 1, and this is mostly the units. Here's all the Romans. Then you have the siege towers there. And some more units over here. Now, these are typical multi-man thickness, nice thickness with white core there. I imagine they punch out nicely. I'm not a big clipper. I don't know if these necessarily need it, but if you are a clipper, I imagine these are decent thickness to clip without problem. Dual-sided there. Look at the map last. Then we have another player aid just like the other one. So you get 2 of these Storm Over Jerusalem player aids. So let's look at the cards, then we'll look at the map. How about that? Cards look nice. At least the example I saw there. So, okay. Is there a starter for this? There we go. Easily pulled out. Now these are ooh, little slick, but there's a little bit of a texture on them. They're not decent. They're not thin, or they're not thick, I should say. They're a little thin, but there's a nice texture coating on that. I don't know if you can quite see it with the glare. You might see some of it, but man, they These really are a little slick, maybe because of the thinness. So these are the Roman side cards, the red. You get some events here. You get some siege numbers there. The graphics are nice. A little dark. I mean, the brown kind of overwhelms it, but still not bad. Little siege engine there. There's another catapult. Boy, a lot of text on that one. So there's the Roman cards. Then you have the Judean cards here. Imagine they're Judean. Divine intervention. Save the temple. Keep the faith. So definitely asymmetrical in the approach on the cards. You know, one is defending their most sacred place, and the other side is trying to put down a rebellion by taking over a most sacred place. So there are the Judean cards. So now let's move some of this stuff out of the way so that we can take a look at the map. How about that? And it's a paper map. I might have to go up periscope on this one because looks like a good size map. I'm liking the look of it. It's a nice. I like the graphics on it. It looks like a city map, right? Something you might see out of the Bible of sorts. I can't even get the whole thing on here. If I go up periscope a little bit more, we can see a little bit more here so you get a good view of it all. Now within Impulse, you're going to have some of these zones off to the side. These are, can't see with that one there, but these zones off to the side is where it's like an entry point. So you might have like reinforcements or something that start off in this zone and then come in. And then you have these numbered zones. There's also something a little bit different on this map that I've seen that's different than some of your typical area impulses. You have these control areas here where you can control it. At least they have a control box. A lot of games you just might have a control counter, or you just determine control by who's in there. Then you've got some wall sections here. So again, this is a siege game, so the values there or of that wall is going to make a difference. Again, the Romans are trying to tear it down to get a breach, and the Judeans are trying to build it back up. Then you've got some key victory point places. You have Herod's palace here and the Temple Mound. This is the Holy of Holies there. You need to if you're the Judeans, you definitely need to protect that. You have some areas here that are marked with, let's go in a little bit closer. Let's do a close-up of some of the map here. You deserve a little close-up of this. So there's some areas here that are marked like with this no siege tower. So maybe this is an area that you can't use a siege tower, maybe because it's a hill or something like that. Here's Gethsemane. So if you're familiar with Jerusalem, and especially ancient Jerusalem, this is an interesting map in that regard, and looks very interesting. I have not played the old Avalon Hill Siege of Jerusalem game, and be interesting to see how they compare. I can tell you right now, I like the graphics. Although the old Jerusalem game I think had a mounted board because Avalon Hill mounted everything or most everything. But I like this. I like the look at this map. It looks interesting. And you have a lot of these control areas here. So there you have it. If you have this here, you get +1 card. That's interesting, I imagine. That's what that symbol means there. So cool. Well, there you have it. That is the map that comes along with Storm over Jerusalem. Now at the very, very top up here, let's just go into that. Let's pull this down and take a look here. You've got your supply restriction increased, Judean areas unable to replenish. You've got a victory and supply track here. You've got a turned and hand size track here. So there's going to be variable hand size, it looks like, for the Romans and Judeans. You've got this is the +2 defense value, and then you've got, this is +1 to defense value, +2 to defense value, and +3 to defense value based on that color. That's the effect of that area, or this is the key to that. Then you just have the name Storm Over Jerusalem. So you've got all kinds of goodies on the map there. So with that, let's put everything back on the table here so you can see what you get in a box of Storm Over Jerusalem. Again, I need to read up on the rules and figure out how what gameplay is like. I'm familiar with Area Impulse games, and again, have played some Area Impulse games that have the cards, but haven't played one in a while. So I need to read up on that and see what that is all about. These cards are slick. I got to tell you that. I mean, slick in that they're nice looking, but they are literally slick. They kind of slip out of your hands. These are the Romans, and these are the Judeans here. And then there you have it. That is what you get in a box of Storm Over Jerusalem. I think this has been worth the wait. I've been waiting this for a while for this to come out. And Multi-Man Publishing will serve no wine before it's time. They do take their time on things. I'm liking the looks of it. I'm excited to get this to the table and play this. This looks interesting. I'm very interested in this battle and having some coverage on it. And so I got to say, I'm liking it, the looks of it so far. If you've got this or have it on order, I'd like to know your thoughts on this. If you've got it and played it, definitely tell me what you think about it. How does it compare to the old Siege of Jerusalem game? How does it compare to other Area Impulse games or other Area Impulse card assisted games? Love to know your thoughts on any of that stuff. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thanks so much for stopping by, and have a good one. Thanks for watching.